I tell you I was on my mind?
Wise up. This your brother.
Can I
Your
get a
cousin,
couple of
your
things
uncle,
off
your
my
nephew, your
chest?
friend, but I can't be your son. This your kinfolk. William Jewell. Giving you my detail as I articulate. This is articulating rap, rap, rap. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you can get all the new content when I post them. I just came here to articulate. I just came here to give you my detail from a telescopic and microscopic view from far away and up close on this thing we called hip hop. Right, man? And like when you doing this, what I'm doing, like it's gonna trigger some people who are fans or stands of certain people. It's gonna make it seem like you're trolling when you're really just giving your honest opinion. It's gonna seem like you making some wild takes. So you kind of gotta take that into consideration when you doing what we doing, when you reviewing these albums, when you critiquing music, because music sometimes intertwines with the spirit realm, right? And when you talk about a musician or artist that resonates with someone's spirit and soul, they feel some type of way. They feel triggered. They get sensitive, and sometimes they project that sensitivity. They project their frustrations upon you, and damn, I've experienced that. And sometimes I try to not to take it to heart. I try not to care, right? And I try not to come back furious. I not try not to come back with anger. I try to understand, like, this what come with it. And you gotta think I'm just a small channel. So really these are local people attacking me. Really these are people, there's not a lot of people that's saying stuff, but the people that are saying stuff, damn, it's funny to me. It's funny to me, but I try not to let it get to me because I like, dang, you you really judging my character just because of some content I'm posting. And the thing is, nobody hates Drake because that's who the people I'm really talking about, right? Nobody hates Drake. Nobody is trying to stay in the news because Drake, nobody cares that much about Drake. It's really not that serious. It's not about colorism, right? Because I like light skinned guys. My best friend is a light skinned guy, right? My first cousin, like a brother to me, he's a light skinned guy. I've never once wished I was light skinned, and I never once looked at them and said, damn, I wish I could be light skinned. I could get the same. I never once thought like that, right? I never once felt like that, right? So when we think about it, like people are just prejudging you when they don't know you, right? And the thing about Drake is Drake continues to put himself in the media. He does this on purpose. He knew that Kendrick was gonna be on these songs with Carti. Why you think he was posting those weird, crazy, self-deprecating pictures of himself, wrapped up like a tamale, like a pig's in a blanket in that mink, with the Canadian hockey jersey on, with the ski mask? You know what I'm saying? Why you think he was doing all that? Why you think he was saying what he said on that post? So yes, I don't give a damn about what y'all think. So I'm gonna start this conversation off talking about Drake. Because at the same time, I don't want to. But he's the gift that keeps on giving. And if I'm underneath the Christmas tree, I'm going to open the present and I'm going to unravel it. And this is what's going to get the views. This is what's going to get the attention. And if you're doing a job, right? And I'm not necessarily getting paid for this, but I see this as a job. I see this as something that could be monetized, down the road. And it has given me some monetization on Facebook. I see some residuals from what I'm doing, right? Not a lot to just pay the bills with, but enough to say I'm getting money from this. right? So if he's gonna do that and it's my job to talk about these things, then why are you beating me over the head? Why are you feeling some type of way because I'm doing my job? Same way with LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith. I don't want to talk about Drake, but he's putting himself in the media and he's, making it a thing to where you have to talk about him. And so let's go through the Instagram posts. Let's see if we can decipher it. I feel like I've already deciphered it. I've already understood what he said, but I'm gonna break it down for y'all so we can really talk about this and really understand what this means for Drake. And I feel like sentence by sentence will be the best. I grew up non-confrontational and always treated this sport as a game. Always treated this game as a sport where my pen won gold. All right, now let me say that again. I grew up non-confrontational and always treated this game as a sport where my pen won gold. So what Drake is basically saying is he started in this game. He wasn't looking for beef, right? He wasn't looking for confrontation. He wasn't looking to get into it with anybody, but the people that threw shots at him, threw slugs at him, he returned fire because he saw this as a competitive game. He saw this as a competitive sport, and he's a competitor, right? And his pen has won gold. Whether you say he has ghostwriters, whether you believe that he's wrote most of his own things, right? We can say that as a rapper, right? Because I feel like Drake wears a lot of pants, and to me, rapping is just one of his pants. So I don't consider him a full blown rapper. But if you take into the consideration of how big of an artist he is, and rap is the main thing that he does, he's won gold, right? He got plaques, he got numbers, he got popularity, and his pen has afforded him that. His pen has won gold. At one point in time, he was the gold medalist. He was the one, that was considered the best in hip hop. So that's the first part. But my, these days, the podium has been hard for all of us to ignore, right? So at the same time, I feel like he's saying he was always the number one guy. But now that they're putting Kenny, now that they're putting Kendrick as the top guy and he's no longer in that position, the podium in which when you win a race or win in the sport, they put first, second, and third places on the podium. J. Cole at third, Drake at second, Kendrick at first. Now, when Drake used to be first, pen won gold, but now the podium is hard to ignore, right? It's hard to ignore. It's hard to not see that he's not considered the best now, right? I understand that this next chapter may leave you feeling uneasy, right? And here's how I take that. I understand that this next chapter may leave you feeling uneasy. I take it in multiple ways because I feel like this could be said in multiple ways. People say, "Oh, make leave you feeling uneasy. Drake is getting into his villain era. He's going to be really bumping heads with people. He's really gonna not care about what he says. He's gonna be honest about what happened and how he's feeling, and to take those feelings into consideration, it might make one feel uneasy, right? The lawsuits, it might make one feel uneasy. The revelation or the exposure of him doing things behind people's back, it may make you feel uneasy. All these things Drake done in the past has made me feel uneasy when it comes to the Drake that I used to love and I used to know when he first came out with Young Money. So I don't think nothing he can do can make me feel uneasier than I already felt. But I think he's gonna make a pivot from hip hop a little bit, right? And he said in the Australian tour that he's gonna have a one-on-one conversation. So I feel like those two kind of go hand in hand. I feel like you could take it as he's gonna make a pivot from hip hop. He's gonna be in his villain era, really confronting everything because from the first start, he said he grew up non-confrontational. Now he's saying from now on, it's gonna make you leave you feeling uneasy. So I think he's gonna be confronting things head on. That's another way you could take it, or you could take it as he's gonna make a complete pivot from hip hop. But that one-on-one conversation, I feel like him saying that and him saying this, we kind of gotta tie the two together, right? So that's the context of it. And with the one-on-one conversation and make you feeling uneasy, and when we talk about the Fighting Irish freestyle, which I feel like will eventually be released, I feel like those are the type of conversations he's gonna be having. Those are the type of uneasiness that you're gonna be feeling from Drake, right? But I hope you see my honesty as clarity, not charity, right? I hope you see my honesty as clarity and not charity, right? So basically, he's saying, so I guess we can take it as he's going to be honest, right? He's going to be honest. He's going to be clear about how he's been feeling. He's going to be clear about the situations. He's going to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me, God, right? I believe that we can take it like that. And it's not charity. He's not just giving these things away just for people can have some understanding of his business or understanding of what's going on behind the background or behind the scenes. He's not just giving this information up to us so we could feel like, you know, he's doing us a favor, right? He's going to be honest to make things very clear from his standpoint of view on how he feels about the podium, on how he feels about being non-confrontational in the past, but also being a competitor when it's come his way. So we finish it up by him saying that answers some. I hope you see my honesty as clarity, not charity, that answers some questions, especially about the unanswered texts you've been sending me. So unanswered texts that could be through people he's ghosting, people that trying to be cool with him, that he's not cool with anymore. He doesn't want to make amends. He don't want to, you know what I'm saying? He don't want to hear no apologies. Like I think that's what he's saying, right? Now that I'm breaking it down, because I didn't even have a full breakdown in my mind before I read this, but now that I'm breaking it down, kind of sentence by sentence, statement by statement, he's basically saying, and I'm going to detail it and articulate it in the best way I know possible. I didn't try to start beef with people, right? I wasn't trying to go at people, but if they went at me, I was always going to attack back and return fire. And being able to do so and being able to rap at an elite level has gained me respect and has gained me that number one spot for so long. But now that this spot has been overthrown, it's hard not to see how y'all looking at me. It's hard not to see the stories, the pictures that y'all paint at me. So now I'm going to give y'all these one-on-one conversations. I'm going to really tell y'all why I'm not at the podium, why I'm not, where I was, what's going on behind the scenes and in the background. So I hope my honesty is more clarity to clear the air and not me just trying to give away free free business. Just I'm not trying to give away, you know what I'm saying, the secrets. It's more me just being clear about what's going on and the position I'm in today. And for those of y'all who've been reaching out to me, asking me why or what happened or can you please forgive me, this will be the answer to those text messages. I'm not going to text back. I'm just going to talk through the music. And through the music, you can decide, right? You can decide, and who knows? Maybe LeBron James has been texting him. But, that's my breakdown of that. That's my breakdown of that. So now let's talk about this Playboi Carti album. I Am Music. Right, we got to get into our rap review bag because our rap review bag is our bread and butter. Right? And Playboi Carti, I'm to be honest, I'm not even familiar with dude like that. You know, so just hearing him like outside of a feature is a little bit different for me because I've never really just listened to his music before, nor was I intrigued enough beforehand to really listen to him. Right? But what got me interested is the Kendrick Lamar. And I felt like he made a good choice by using Kendrick Lamar on this album too, because it brought some fan bases that usually would not even try to listen to this album. Right? It brought some people to give Cardi a ear. Right? And not to mention his fan base. Because he's in that rock star hip hop lane. He's in that Travis Scott lane. And the thing is, he's so big, his fan base is so huge. Even the biggest artists of hip hop that are mainstream known have to, respect him, have to have some type of reverence for him and what he's doing with his originality. Right? And it was 30 tracks. This was a lot of tracks. It was an hour and 17 minutes. So, I mean, technically it wasn't too long, but when you're listening to his type of music, I feel like that could be long. And what I always say with people that's releasing these long ass track lists, I don't feel like that's necessary. I feel like it takes from the total concept or the total packaging and curation of the album. I know he was gone for about 4 years, 5 years. I know he was gone for a while, but and same thing kind of Kendrick did with Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, right? Same thing Drake did with SS for You. Like, I feel like if you take away some of those songs and package them in a more concise, condensed version, then you will have a good masterpiece. You will have a classic album. You'll at least have a great body of work that has the possibility of standing the test of time. So, I mean, yes, was I disappointed that I was going to have to listen to 30 tracks to get through this album and have a actual critique? Yes, I didn't want to do that, but I did it, right? And I was pleasantly surprised. And I hear a lot of people saying this album was trash, throw it in the garbage. Right? And to be honest, it's coming from the old heads. It's coming from the people who are stuck in their ways. It's coming from the closed-minded individuals that have one perspective and viewpoint on what hip hop should be or sound like. And I know they'll be like, "Well, I like 21 Savage. I like ESTG. Isn't that?" No, this is totally different. This is not that street hit a nigga up type of rap. Right? This is artistic. This is rock. This is creative. This is original. This is, different wavelengths, different sounds. And the production is there. That's my favorite thing to say. The production is there. And lyrically, he don't sound like Yachty. Lyrically, he was saying some shit when he needed to say some shit. And then you think about the flows, the patterns, the cadence, the tones, the different animations of his voice. He uses the deep voice, the lighter voice, like just different melodic patterns that he's using when he's rapping. Like, come on, bro. Like, you gotta give a man credit. He's doing things that most of the rappers in his weight class, most of the rappers in his lane, or most of the rappers that y'all try to compare him to can't do. Right? Even Travis Scott can't do what he's doing as far as changing the tones and changing his vocals. So I feel like he deserves some credit. He deserves some respect. God damn, I get that you old. I get that your ears aren't trained to listen to this in a uh non-biased manner when it comes to traditional hip hop and futuristic sounds. But Kendrick Lamar brought us here because I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for the Kendrick verse on Good Credit. I don't think it would be here if it wasn't for the hook on Backdoor. I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for the ad libs on Mojo Jojo. I don't think I would be here, but damn it, I'm here now. And since I'm here now, I'm going to take a look around. I'm going to observe my scenarios, my situation. I'm going to observe the settings, right? I'm going to look and I'm going to listen. And when I listen to this artist, Playboi Carti, besides of the outside stuff, because I don't really know about him like that on the outside, right? But besides the outside noise, like, I think for his lane, I think for what he does, I think this was good. I think this was good. Let me preface that. I think for his lane, for what he does, for his fan base, I think this is good. Now, when we talk about from the traditional hip hop standpoint, or the traditionalists, or the purists, or the 35 and up crowd gonna really rock with this? No, they're not. Because my crowd and my group of people, they've already been conditioned to hear music a certain way. The same way our moms and dads was conditioned to hear R&B, to hear soul music a certain way, and when the new music of our generation came in, it was hard for them to listen to it. Right now, we've become that crop, and the thing is, it puts you out of touch, and when you're out of touch, you're out of reach, and when you're out of reach, it's hard for you to connect to the younger individuals underneath you to influence them and impact them in the way that you want to. So we got to look at this as a moment to learn, to observe, and to really ingratiate ourselves with the evolution of hip hop and how that can give us some leadway into, you know, conversations with our children, bonding with our children, bonding with those young adults and understanding them on a level, because the youth is the future. And if we want to be able to touch the future, we can't be out of reach. Okay. Now, that's what I'll say about this album. I can't really rate it because I feel like this album, well, fuck it. Fuck it, I'll rate it. So, based on how I rate albums, the production is there, right? The production is probably like a 10 out of 10, right? Like up tempo, like something like you can rock with. This is what the mainstream likes. This is what the mainstream has told Kendrick he needs to do. This is what why the mainstream likes Drake. This is why the mainstream has told J. Cole he was boring, because there wasn't the beat that was enough up tempo. This is an up tempo type of style production, and this is a 10 for 10. Right? The hooks. The hooks was there. We had features from Travis. We have features from Future. We have features from Kendrick. We have features from The Weeknd. So the hooks and Young Thug, we have features. Okay. Hooks was there. Then we go to the creativity. Right? Creativity 10 for 10, because nobody in his lane can do this how he's doing it. So I feel like the creativity is there. I feel like the originality is there. The only trouble that you have with this album, or the only problem that you kind of run into with this album, is lyrically, right? And I feel like the he is a little bit more lyrical than most rappers in this lane, but when we talking about vibe and music, when we talking about this type of lane, it's never ever been about lyrics, right? It's about how you say things, and the emphasis that you put on certain things, and the pockets and the cadences of your flow. So it's about sometimes using your instrument as a voice, more so of what your voice is actually saying. So the lyrics, no. The substance, no. They're not there. They're not there. And then sometimes he a little bit off beat, right? Sometimes he a little bit off beat. So from that standpoint, if you take away some of the lyrics and substance, but everything else is at high, then I feel like this could be in that 7 range. Just from a traditional hip hop standpoint, and when you look at the judging scale, this could be in that 7 range. All right. And now I want to go to that Kendrick Lamar verse, right? Because I feel like this needs to be talked about a little bit more too. Uh so DJ Academics, he pretty much teased, Kendrick being on this project, being on this album, and pretty much saying Kendrick's talking shit again. Really just basically, as soon as you gonna listen to this song, you gonna think about what is he saying about Drake. And so I hear it, but I don't think this is, I think this is more, you're reaching. I don't think this is really a Drake diss, as far as this is a just Kendrick. I don't think this is a diss. I think this is just Kendrick just talking his shit, just talking from the throne, just saying what he want to say. I don't think but I do think, I'm looking it up, right? I'm sorry, cuz I'm really rambling. So I'm not saying what I want to say. All right, but now let's get to the verse. Let's get to the verse. Right? And like I said, DJ Academics, he introduced his song, kind of teasing his song that Kendrick was talking about Drake talking shit again. And really, to me, this verse wasn't even a diss verse. This verse was just like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm the king now. No matter what y'all say, no matter the numbers, no matter, what I'm saying, the popularity. Like, I've always been that guy. Now y'all just realizing it. But I've always been him. And then, so one thing I want to say this. He said, Protect is flooded, but way over budget. I lose it on tour. Huh? I would have said fuck you too, but you knew that the list was full. Like, I think he was talking about 50 Cent. Because 50 Cent was the main one that held that list up, the Drake hater list, when he did that interview with Big Boy. Right? I seen pictures. I saw somebody else talk about this on the forum that I'm in. So I do think this is a sub towards 50 Cent. Like, he basically saying he got way more to worry about than that list. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it ties in directly with that, the undertones of 50 Cent and Kendrick Lamar throwing subs at each other, throughout this beef, throughout Dodger Blue. Uh 50 on me won't die trying it. Then 50 deep, but you ain't deep enough. And then 50 Cent on the missionary song with Snoop Dogg on that album with Eminem featured. He says something about the steppers. 50 Cent has been on Drake's side. He's been pumping up Drake this whole battle. So I do believe this has something to do with him taking a shot at 50. Let's get that straight. I don't think this is really about Drake. Upscore on you niggas like Rucker, dog. I'm sure because I get it off the muscle, dog. Like, he said up the score before, but I don't really see it as Drake. Now, when he said drop, drop, die, die, kill, kill, watch, watch, then I do think like that was more of a tease. That was more of a troll. But that wasn't a true diss. Like, because we know Drake already said something about Kendrick on "Give Me a Hug," and then the fact that we talking about the Luka Doncic line and the timing on when he got traded to the Lakers, and then when we talk about "Give Me a Hug," that probably came out like right as Luka Doncic got traded. So when this verse is current, so I feel like this verse is kind of sort of talking to that as well, because if Drake is throwing subtle shots, Kendrick should be able to throw subtle shots too. But he's not really going hard at Drake. He's really just saying what he's saying, right? The ASAP Rally line is crazy. The Luka Doncic line is crazy, right? Ain't no point of going through that. But conspiracy theories is given, but I must admit it, you got the wrong person. And I think like it's a number of conspiracy theories we can talk about when it comes to Kendrick Lamar. It's the conspiracy theories about the bots. It's the conspiracy theories about Ebony King. It's the conspiracy theories about UMG trying to make Kendrick Lamar, a better artist than Drake. It's so many conspiracy theories about him, so many thought pieces out there about him. And he's just saying like the most prominent ones that are negative about him, that's wrong. He said they bundling, man, Chicago slang. Which one of you niggas a merchant? Like, yeah. So he's talking to the industry. He's talking to the industry. And I think he's talking about Travis Scott. Because Travis Scott had the most highest selling rap album last year over GNX, and it was because he did a bundle package, and he did the most sales from a mixtape that he dropped 10 years ago, and it did that well. So I think, yeah, I think that's a shot at Travis Scott. I think that's a shot at, certain artists that are using that and not just selling their music outright. And I don't know if Drake tried to do that, but he did do a couple things to kind of boost his sales. But most of his sales came from streaming. I think he had 30K like physical copies. So most of his sales came from streaming. So I mean, really, to me, those are the points that. And then he said the numbers is nothing, the money is nothing. I really been him, I promise. Like that's really the things that you can kind of look at this and kind of take away from this. But I don't think like he was really going at Drake. I think he said a subtle shot at 50 Cent. I think he said something subtle, drop. But you know what I'm saying? I don't think he really just made it a point to diss anybody on this. I think he was just talking his shit. You know what I'm saying? Just saying he's the best. Saying he's the best. Drake did it for years when Drake was considered the best, especially when he had the numbers, right? And I think Kendrick he's saying he was kind of hypocritical because he's saying the numbers is nothing, the money is nothing, but then he comes back and say they bundling, man. Chicago slang. Which one of you niggas a merchant? So he's also talking about numbers, saying like they not really doing numbers, but then he's saying before that he doesn't care about numbers. So, this is a lot to dissect, a lot to pick apart. I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Good credit. I like the song. I like the tempo. I like the flow that he used. I like the ad libs, the laugh. I like the DJ in the middle. Like I just liked everything about this song. Even Carti's verse, I think that was cool too. So I mean, this is a good song, good credit. And like I said, I think this song is a song that brought a lot of people to that Carti album. So shout out Kendrick, shout out Carti. I'm gonna run through some albums that I listened to this week. I'm gonna make it short and make it sweet because a lot of people don't really know about these guys. You know, we talk about Slim Thug, we talk about Propane. They released the album Double Cup, I believe. And so, when you from Texas, when you from down south, you gotta you gotta listen to those regional artists. You gotta listen to those artists in your area, those artists that like steady, build on top of that regional sound. And this is definitely a regional sound from Slim Thug and Propane. I feel like Propane really benefits from this feature with Slim Thug, this collaboration album, because Propane is one of the most prominent MCs in Houston and in Texas as far as lyrical ability. And even albums and body of work he's put out, everything he's done has been pretty good from my standpoint. And I just like his work he's done with Sauce Walker. He's done with Zero. He's done with a lot of the OGs. And I feel like the OGs see him as one of those ones. And that's why the OGs really rock with him. He's not like a young guy like Mexican OT. He's probably around Sauce Walker age, but he's just not as vocal. He's just more to himself, more laid back. And so he's not getting the marketing. He's not getting the looks that he deserves. But I think this was a beneficial album for him to be with Slim Thug, because although Slim Thug is more so Texas known, I think with his social media presence, a lot of people follow him and they listen to his music. Right. So these are two independent guys. They doing music together. I like this album. Like, to me, there was no skips on this album. Everything sound good. Everything sounds southern. Everything sounds soulful. The lyrics is there. The production is there for me. Uh, but since it's a regional sound, right, the creativity is kind of lost in it, but the originality is there because this sound originates from Texas, from Houston, from the culture of Screwed Up. So, I mean, I like this album. I like this album. This album I'm gonna definitely go back to a little bit more. This is an album that everybody should listen to. Um, I would say this is right aligned in alignment with um Life is Good. This is right in alignment with Life is Beautiful. Life is Beautiful, like with Slim Thug and Larry June. Uh, because Propane being the more lyrical artist, and Slim Thug being more captured by his vocals and his flow. Uh, I think this was a good combination and a great marriage as far as the combination of those two skill sets: lyrical flow, vocals. And it just captured that Houston sound in totality. And I'll put it right along with Life is Beautiful, right? Maybe that's my southern bias. Uh, but personally, for me, this is just as a good album. I just know it doesn't have the Alchemist as the producer, right? And it doesn't have Two Chains, who's a bigger name, right? So it might not get the looks. But then we go to another southern artist. So this week has been good for the South, right? Because that's Houston, Texas. Then we go to Louisiana, New Orleans. Shout out Currency, the hospital, right? Currency and Harry Fraud. They released a project. They released a project, Never Catch Us. And man, I really enjoyed this album. Right, I really enjoyed this album. We know what Currency's gonna do. We know what his ability is. We know like what he does when he raps. It's gonna be that chill type of vibe. It's gonna be lyrical. It's gonna be a little, you know what I'm saying, luxury talk. But it's always gonna be inspirational, independent, thought provoking. Uh, you know what I'm saying, deeper than the surface, smoking, getting high, that type of shit that we rap. And he delivered that for us. And this was just quality music. Production on Harry Fraud. This was just quality music. The features, Primo Rice, Wiz Khalifa, uh, Babyface Ray, Styles P. I really like them on that joint. Dave East. Right. So I mean, this was a good album. This was a good album. This is something I would like to go back to, because just like Double Cup, to be honest, it's just all grown folk music. So I talked about the Playboy Carti album, right? And that's more for the young adults and the teenagers. But when we talk about the 35 plus up crowd, this is the music that we love. This is the music that we like to hear, because this is more of a traditional style of music. This is more of a nostalgic style of music, samples, lyrics, just, slower tempo. Like, this is what people want from certain parts of hip hop, as far as men goes. And I think Currency was able to deliver this with Harry Fraud. I haven't been able to get to the BG, Freedom of Speech. Currency, Harry Fraud, I just give it a 7, because this is an average album, because production is there, lyrics is there, all that stuff is there. Originality is there, no risk taking. Not too much creativity there, because he's always been doing this. But since it was a good album, and it kind of like met the bar of what we know Currency to be, then I'll give it a 7. And Freedom of Speech, BG, uh, I didn't get to it, but I'm gonna get to it, and I'm gonna try to give it a review. BG's back with a solo album. I think he did something with Gucci Mane a while back, but this is him by himself. I want to get to it and really just give it a honest review. I mean, we gotta respect our OGs. We gotta give our legends a listen, and we just gotta let them talk they talk, and just kind of just listen to them, and just give them that recognition. So, man, for right now, that's kind of all I got. All I got. I'm sorry, like I was rambling a little bit, because I didn't do no notes this week. So like all my thoughts was a little bit all over the place when it came to certain projects and certain reviews. But I just kind of did this off the head. I didn't have time to write the notes down. I just wanted to just talk freely and just go from topic to topic. I spent a little bit more time on the Drake. I spent a little bit more time on that Playboi Carti album, but those were like the biggest things in the hip hop news. Some people decided to talk about them. Some people didn't. Salute to Pimp a Butterfly. I'm glad that I'm talking now. The 10-year anniversary, right? To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar, and I just want to share my thoughts about that when I think back to that time and that space. Because when we think about 2012 Kendrick, like 2012 Kendrick, man, I ain't gonna say he saved my life, but he altered my perspective of hip hop and rap in general. I think Good Kid, Mad City was an album that created a lot of these alternative rapping artists that we have today, like Smino, like Earth Gang, like Saba, you know what I'm saying? Even Chance the Rapper to a certain extent. And then when we go to Pimp a Butterfly, it was a total, not 360, but it was a total 180. And really not a 180, maybe just another shift into what he was already doing at the time. Kendrick, he had some dope beats, dope rhymes, and then all of a sudden, we was expecting that type of Kendrick to give us something else, and then he gave us jazz, he gave us musicality, he gave us live instruments, he gave us To Pimp a Butterfly, he gave us thoughts, deep within the black culture, deep within racism, embedded in colorism. When we talk about complexion, self-love, self-hate, the taxes, the government, the loopholes of the industry, the devils, the gods. Like, he gave us so much introspection and perspective on that album. And you, uh, I place blame on you still. Like, feel like you ain't shit. Feel like you don't feel. Like, when I first heard that song, I was like, oh my God. Like, that song really blew my mind, because like I was feeling, I really related to that song. I was feeling the type of way. You know what I'm saying? I was really feeling that song. I kind of put myself in his shoes on that song. And then, we go to how much a dollar really costs. How much a dollar costs. And when he told that story, like, then we go to Mama. I know everything. I know spirituality, good and bad health. I know everything. Like, we go to that verse, one of my favorite verses. And so just a story he told, and then you go to Mortal Man, you go to the Tupac interview, you just go to the whole culmination of the album. Like, that was pure art. And like, that was when that separation began, right? When we want to break this album down, that's kind of when people were saying, oh, because at first Kendrick was the hottest thing. He was hotter than fish grease. Then when that tide started to shift, it was because of this album. Then they were saying, oh, Kendrick, he don't make music for the bitches. He don't make music for the clubs. The tide started to shift because this man wanted to speak about the culture. He wanted to speak about what was going on, the Mike Browns, the Trayvon Martins. He wanted to speak about these things that needed to be spoke about. And to be honest, since then, we haven't had an album like that since then. A thought-provoking album, a forward-thinking album. Like, and there's definitely a lot of things that we could tackle right now, but nobody's really giving us some substance to where we can discuss this. And with Kendrick and what he did, it altered how people viewed him. People viewed him as somebody from Cali. He could rhyme, he could rap, and then when he made that shift to this type of music, they looked at him differently. They looked at him as woke. They looked at him as, you know, somebody that couldn't make music that women would like. They looked at him like that. That's when he started to get that type of label. And then that's why he gave us Damn. Because he wanted to make sure people knew he could do this. He could do the commercially successful albums. He could make the hit songs if he wanted to. But he chose to do this, and people are so they're in the moment, and they're not forward thinkers, and they just don't understand the duality or the complexities of an artist and their ability. Like, you pigeonhole them and put them in a certain box. And the great thing about this album was he got outside the box that they pigeonholed him in. And when we look back 10 years later, this is still a classic. At one point in time, people were saying this was a boring album. I can't listen to this album. There's no good music on this album. But when you really go back to this album, and when we talk about the traditional and the purists and the people that want to hear that skill set, like, Kendrick gave you all of that on this album. And nobody's been able to give you that type of hip hop since. So I believe To Pimp a Butterfly changed the landscape of hip hop, ultimately. And that type of music was a little bit more profound, like, as far as just hearing the concept of that album and hearing the concept of Good Kid, Mad City. That let us know, like, how an album should be curated, how an album should be structured, how a story should be told through and through. He just gave us that blueprint and gave other rappers that blueprint. So, man, To Pimp a Butterfly, I think that was what, 2014, 15. Uh, that really, that changed my perspective on music. That changed my life, especially when we talk about those songs that I just named. So, man, and then the spoken word on For Free, and For Free, and then it was another song. I can't think of it right off top, but man, salute to Kendrick, 10-year anniversary. Salute to Drake. Salute to Playboi Carti, Harry Fraud, Currency. Salute to Slim Thug and Propane. It's your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your friend, but I can't be your son. It's your kinfolk. William Jewell, L. Giving you my detail. Let's articulate. This is articulating rap, rap, rap.